Inside the NBA. We know that that show is coming to an end as it currently is, but the idea is that, it's going to transition to ESPN, and ESPN supposedly will find out if they're going to touch it or not. So after 35 seasons, Inside the NBA is coming to an end. You've heard some of these quotes here from some of these guys, whether it be Barkley or Shaq or Kenny, Ernie, the entire crew, basically all saying that, look, we're going to still be around. Basically, the way this is going to work is that ESPN is going to carry Inside the NBA, but it's still going to be done out of Atlanta, Studio J. When did this? I think this this will be the first time that TNT is not carrying NBA games. I want to say since 1989, something along those lines, or at least they've been in the NBA business since 1989. And there's some good articles out there of, what's ESPN going to do? I'm just going to be, honest, and I'm going to be real. When Inside the NBA is on, and I know not everybody is a fan of all these guys. I think there's some Laker fans that are not big fans of Charles Barkley. I don't have a problem with any of them. I enjoy watching it. I've never really found ESPN's pregame, halftime, and postgame show to be entertaining. I've never found it to be, oh my gosh, I got to watch that. But I found myself doing that with Inside the NBA for years, and I think a lot of people have. And the biggest question now is going to be, will they do anything? Will ESPN get in the way of Inside the NBA in any kind of, in any possible way or form? I know there was a time ESPN made clear that they're not going to touch anything. It says TNT Sports will continue to independently produce Inside the NBA from its Atlanta-based studios over the term of the agreement. That was an announcement ESPN made back in November when all this was kind of unfolding. The smartest thing ESPN can do, leave the damn show alone. Just don't do anything. And honestly, I think ESPN is smart enough to say, let's get the hell out of the way. If you look at Pat McAfee, kind of that partnership, and Pat McAfee coming to ESPN as well, Pat McAfee controls everything. They're not, nobody does anything with the Pat McAfee show. Pat McAfee is, there's some things that are said. It's like, damn, he said that on ESPN, but it's really Pat McAfee's show, and he's just licensing. Yeah, you can carry my show, but I'm still running everything. ESPN, I thought, was smart to do that. ESPN has kind of got out of the way, and it's like, listen, they got the money, they got the resources to basically say, we like that programming. Clearly, consumers like that programming better than they like ours. Why don't we just bring that programming over to ESPN and let's get the hell out of the way? That's a smart business plan, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure ESPN wishes they had control. I'm sure ESPN wishes that their programming was must-watch TV. It isn't always must-watch TV. And I think it's kind of a very smart strategy to say, we can keep Charles Barkley and Ernie Johnson and, Kenny Smith and Shaquille O'Neal, and we can air it on ESPN. I think I saw some of the stuff that they're going to carry. So ESPN and ABC. So Inside the NBA will be on, including ESPN's pregame, halftime, postgame coverage of the NBA Finals on ABC, conference finals, NBA playoffs, all ABC games after January 1st, Christmas Day, opening week, the final week of the season, other marquee live events. They're going to have them a ton. They're just going to have them for the more meaningful games. And they're still going to, I guess ESPN's still going to keep NBA Countdown, NBA Today. They're going to still do what they do. But it's different. Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith and some of these other guys that they have on there, that's just not must-watch TV for me. Inside the NBA has been pretty much must-watch TV for a long time. And whether you're a fan of that show or not, that's the show. That's the show that everybody's kind of trying to chase. And instead of ESPN trying to figure out how to replicate it, they're just going to carry it. And I think if they're smart, they don't do anything to that show. They leave it alone. And I think ESPN, that's exactly what they're going to end up doing. All right, let me see some of the let me see some of this up here. ESPN is going to mess it up by putting Stephen A. Smith and Perk with them all the time. We'll see. We'll see. You know, I think again, maybe they're going to do some stuff that involves their talent as well. That part I wouldn't be surprised about, but I think for the most part, that show's going to stay intact. Let's see what we got here. Do you guys actually care that Inside the NBA is no more? Been over them for a few years now. I got to be honest with you. I mean, tell me NBA shows that you're dying to watch that are on TV. I mean, you tell me. I mean, a lot of the shows that I watch, I'll give you an example. The Hoops Collective podcast with Windhorse and some of those other guys, I like that show, but it's not typically on TV. It's usually on YouTube and it's usually on podcast form. Bill Simmons does a phenomenal podcast about the NBA, and obviously he's reacting to games and everything else. That's not on TV. That's on YouTube. That's on podcast form. So I think that I don't really think there's any NBA shows that are on TV other than Inside the NBA that you're like, I want to watch that. That's just kind of how it's been. And even if you're not watching Inside the NBA from start to finish, you're watching some of those clips that are on there. What other shows that are NBA shows? Maybe you like Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce when they do their show. Okay, cool. When they do their show, where's that on? It's on YouTube. It's on podcast form. So a lot of these good NBA shows, in my opinion, they're not on terrestrial TV, or that'd be terrestrial radio. They're not just on your local network TVs anymore. They're just not. I mean, I don't know how often you guys are watching Scott Van Pelt, and I like SVP. I like him, but I'm not watching Sports Center, and I'm not watching these shows the way I used to 15 years ago. It's just not happening. That's just not the way we're consuming it. All right, let me see what else we got here. Let's see what I'm watching. My God, thank you, Jason. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you very much. Thank you very much for doing that. I paid Jason. Paid him under the table. Let me see what this says. ESPN Inside the NBA show will be how China was down. All right. Okay. We're getting political here. Honestly, I don't watch pregame shows. I watch the game. I don't like the takes on the new generation. Fair. Fair on that one. I know a lot of people aren't too crazy with. There is this kind of. I think this. How do I describe this? There's a little bit of. I think the old school generation. People feel like the old school generation just dogs the new generation of NBA players, which I don't think they're wrong. I feel like there's a lot of that. And I don't really know why. I don't know why a lot of these old school players or old school NBA fans can't just enjoy what the players are today. It's not the same league. Like, you got to understand, life is not the same as it was in the mid 90s. It's just not. So, you know, when they say, well, I don't like the league because of this, that, and this. All right, well, the league's not the same. It's not supposed to be the same. All right, let's keep things moving here. But I do think ESPN will be smart about this, and I do think ESPN's not going to screw up Inside the NBA because, frankly, I think if they did, it would be on ESPN's back, and I don't think ESPN wants that. I think ESPN's like, all right, well, we'll just keep the most popular sports show that's out there now is going to be aired on ESPN and ABC. Kind of a win for both sides. The only one it's not a win for is technically TNT. All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.